Hi, everybody. I'll just give everybody a quick another minute to hop on. And then we can start the webinar. All right. Hey, everybody. If you're just joining, we're just going to give everybody else another minute to jump on. Probably closer to about 30 seconds as I'm saying this, but welcome, welcome. All right, let's get started. So hi, everybody. My name is Kat, your friendly neighborhood enterprise customer success manager with Jotform. Today, we're going to be taking an introductory peek into our no-code app builder, Jotform apps. As per usual, I will always make sure to reserve some time towards the end for questions, but if we don't get to all of the questions, you can always reach out to our enterprise sales team or to our awesome support team if you're already an enterprise user. So let's just dive right in. If you're already a Jotform user, the screen that I am sharing right now might look familiar to you. And if you haven't had a chance to utilize Jotform yet, then this, if I click into all forms, is the My Forms dashboard, which is going to be your default landing page when you log into your Jotform Enterprise server. I'm here on our demo server for Jotform Enterprise. So if you're more familiar with Jotform Standard, it might look a little bit different because this is an enterprise environment. We can create an app from this page if we'd like to, but what I would like to do for this session is create and manage the app within a team workspace. We're going to be using the J team here. Now, if you've attended our past Lunch and Learn sessions with myself, you might be familiar with the difference between creating an asset within a team, so within the team workspace, versus within your My Forms dashboard. But I'm going to give you a really quick refresher. So forms, apps, other Jotform assets created within the user's dashboard here are owned by the user themselves, which includes the corroborating submission data collected. Whereas when a form, app, or other Jotform asset is created within the team workspace, then the team becomes the entity that owns the asset. This means that the asset and its data will be available within the team, even should the user that created it leave your organization and have their user access revoked. I won't go into too much more detail about teams, as you can find more in-depth videos and a past Lunch and Learn about teams on our YouTube channel, and we'll have a link to that towards the end of the webinar. All right, so as I mentioned before, we're going to be working within Jotform apps. It's our no-code app builder, uses the drag and drop functionality that you know and love from our form builder, so you can make fully customized branded apps that can be downloaded onto common digital devices. We'll be using the app builder in a desktop device today, as we can see, but we'll get a chance to preview what that app might look like for different screen sizes. You can even use our online store builder to create a store-based app, and you can link to forms to ensure consecutive completion, which we'll also go over. And then many of our enterprise users in particular, especially, like to use the apps as a company portal so their employees and clientele can access it on the go too. So without further ado, let's get to no code building. So within the team workspace here, we're going to be in the J team. You can see that I have created a couple of different apps for our session today with their related assets, but let's first chat about how we would create our app. When we're creating the app within the team workspace, the process is similar if we wanted to create an individually owned app. So to create an individually owned app, we would navigate back to the My Forms dashboard. We click create. We would navigate to My Apps here. And then we would click create app here. Now I'm in the team workspace. So to create the individually owned app, I would just go to all apps here under My Apps, create app. And then I would select one of these different options here. Start from scratch, we can drag and drop to our heart's content. Use template. We do have quite an extensive library of app templates already. Or if I head back, we can clone an existing app that we already own, or we can use the store builder option, which we'll talk about later. But I'm going to exit out of that and let's hop over into our team workspace and into the app that I have created for our time together today. So there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. We can do that here on the My Teams. Again, we are in the My Apps section of the dropdown. I've navigated into the team and I can go directly to edit here, or I can go into the team workspace. And I can go in and I can edit the apps that I have here. I've just put them all under favorites for today. All right, so let's do that. We'll head into editing our IT operation checklist app. So this is just a simple demo app that I've designed to be kind of a type of portal for IT professionals who are operating within or without the office location, just to ensure that they're submitting the correct form, checklists, and they're filling out the correct logs that we need internally. So in our app builder, we're going to see that we have a similar interface to our form builder. We can drag and drop multiple app elements into the app builder here. For this app, I have already dragged and dropped 2 forms that I would need my team to fill out. I've got the IT operations checklist and a submit a work ticket, but then I also have a tables checklist that needs to be updated upon work completion. And then I've gone ahead and added a contact us button where you can see if I click into the properties here, and just like our form builder, each field will have their own properties. I can set that button action to be something different. For this one, because it is contact us, and let's say your employee is out in the field and they desperately need to contact the office, but they don't know the number, this is where they can just click this button, tap this button, and it'll be taken it'll prompt them to call this number. Of course, this is just a demo number here. But we can set different actions for the button here. And then within the style tab, we can also customize its look. Within the forms and tables elements, we, of course, can attach forms that exist within the same team that we're creating the app in, or if this is an individually owned app, then it would give us a selection of the forms here that we own as an individual user. We also have other options here, if I scroll, that are really self-explanatory, like the shrink element here. I've made the elements smaller. That can also be found in our form builder that allows us to place these 2 elements beside each other for in my opinion, at least a more aesthetically pleasing and compact app user experience, as we can see here. I'm just going to click back into the properties here. Now, if we scroll down, I do want to draw your attention to these 2 toggles entitled Mark as Required here and Mark as Completed. So you'll notice that if I toggle those both off and then I toggle Mark as Required on, Mark as Completed is automatically toggled on. However, I can toggle Mark as Completed on and off individually if perhaps this particular form isn't always required. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how this relates to the app flow and to the user experience once we get into app settings, but I did want to note that while we are within the form settings here, because it will be important later. And then finally, as you can see, once I have the element selected, I can go in and it will take me to the form builder. This is one of the forms that I have that is required to fill out, and it'll just take me right there to that particular form builder if I click that within the app builder. Now, if I click within the tables element, you'll see that it's quite similar here. And these elements all also still have that style tab where you can customize text alignment, element style, imagery, color styles, and even icon selection, as we've done here. Of course, if I wanted to, I could add in some other elements to our app here. Like I could add a signed document if I wanted to. So let's say that I have a signed document that I have as a single signer, and I already have a link generated. So I can click into here. You can see that this is just a sample document here, but we would have to go in, we would have to assign fields, and then we would have to create that link to be able to add it to our app. Once we do, we can click to add it there. and it will be added. So let's say that we have all of this information that we need our IT professional to fill out in the form, and then we need them to actually sign on our signed document to say, hey, this is all correct. We can do that if we want to. We can also add in any of our featured widgets, like our social follow, which I've already added here. This is especially useful if, say, you have brand standards that require social links on internal and external facing assets. And then I could even click into our widgets tab. And you might recognize some of these from the form builder, including, say, the PDF embedder widget, where I can embed a static PDF into the app here. And then more app specific widgets. If we scroll down, we've got QR code, Vimeo, Spotify, Skype call button, and more if we scroll here. But let's say I'm just going to delete this because I don't have a PDF to embed right now. But now that I've created my app, I can also click into the header and I can customize that as I wish, as you can see here. I can also further customize the look of my app in the app designer, where I can select the background color, other colors, I can set the font, and I can easily make evergreen changes to the app's layout. So we can do that here. We've got a couple of options there. Now, if we click Preview App, we can see what the expected look of my app is on different devices here. But I'm not going to spend too much time on the screen since we will come back to it later. Okay, so let's move on and talk a little bit more about our Store Builder app here. Now, what I've done is I'm just going to click out of those two assets. I've created a different demo app for mobile car washes. So if I click into favorites here, or like I said, I could click into my apps under the team. The mobile car wash here is the one that I've created that is the Store Builder. We have a key element. It looks basically the same in our app builder, but we have a key element that we didn't have before, which is our product list here. Now you'll also notice that on the right-hand side here, beneath our app designer icon, we have a store builder icon. If we want to remove our product list, that goes away. So you don't have to create two separate apps. If you want to add a store to an existing app, all you have to do is drag and drop the product list into your app and set it up from here. So whether we click the store properties button here or on the field, we'll be taken to the same screen. So this is where we can add our payment integration. You can see I've already added Stripe within a test mode here, but let's go ahead and delete that so I can show you exactly how this kind of goes. So we would add in the payment integration. And you can see that we have many of the same integrations that you may already be utilizing within your forms. The setup is a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reconnect to Stripe. And you can see here, I am going to put it into test mode here. So it will be a little bit different when you're in live mode. You will have to authenticate and everything too. But before I click connect, I did also want to highlight, you can go into the advanced tab here and you can set other options that would be unique to the integration that you select. So I'm just going to go into basic. I'm going to connect to Stripe. I do have a pop-up here that is just telling me that I'm currently in test mode. So I would authenticate if I were in live mode there. Once it's connected, we're just going to go in and you can see that test mode is enabled. If you are not in test mode, you won't have this warning sign pop up. All right, so let's say now that I'm all set, I can toggle on all of these different options here, express checkout, all of these kind of other really self-explanatory options within the payment method tab. But I can also click into product settings for more options to pertaining to the product layout, the currency, search functions, decimal use, everything there if I wish to do so. If I exit out of here and I want to add more products, we would need to click on the products button on the field, or we can simply click where it says add new product within the field itself. Here, it will add a dupe of the same product there, but we can always go in and we can edit it if we need to with the edit button. But let's say that we want to create a whole new product. We're going to go into our product tab here. We're going to click on the product button. We can set a new product with a new price. Product description, everything looks quite similar to how you would do this within the form builder. We can set in our different options, follow the prompts, and we can set our quantity, product options, however we'd like to do that there. And it's really as simple as that. So once we have our store set up, we can go ahead and continue to customize our app within the builder. You can see that I have linked to a booking form here. I've done a scroll, an image gallery of some very cool car pictures. I have a contact us button and that social follow button, but we can go in and we can add as much as we'd like. We can also go in, and this is just a paragraph field with some contact information if we'd like to do that as well. All right, so once we have the store all set up the way that we like it, we've got the app looking in the builder the way that we want, we've got our products added, our cool images added here, then we can go ahead and continue within our app settings to confirm that we're giving the best user experience or it's working the way that we want to. So we would go into settings here, but what I actually think I'm going to do is I'm going to click into my last app that we were talking about here. So I'm just going to click into settings. This is back in the IT operations checklist app. We can see that we have a few options here that we can toggle on and off, similar to form settings. We can decide to set the app status where we can enable, disable it, or we could disable it on a certain date, which could be useful for, say, if you're only using your app for a particular event, or you might have a flash sale on your products. It's only for a limited time. Our other options that are on the screen explain exactly what they do and how they relate to the app, including using the app to come back to continue submissions that they've saved from the connected form. You can enable the pop-up on most mobile devices where the user can add your app to their device's home screen for easy access. And then this is what we had chatted about earlier. You can set a progress bar to show the required the status of the documents, the assets that you've marked as required here. So within this app, we have those two forms that are marked as required. So we're just going to put a little progress bar that we're going to view later on top of the app to show everybody that's accessing the app, if they've completed all of the necessary steps or if they still have a couple of different steps to do. And then the add restart button here is self-explanatory as well. Our app name and icon tab allows us to edit what appears when and if the user adds the app to their device's home screen. And then our splash screen tab, of course, allows us to edit the screen that displays when the app is opened on mobile devices here. So we've built and we've customized our app. We've got our settings to where we want them. And now we need to publish our app. So let's click into the Publish tab there. Now, again, this might look a little more familiar if you're already familiar with Jotform as well, as you can set your app settings to private, so only those invited here can access it, public, anybody can access it, or company, only available to those invited with a certain email domain can access it. You'll notice, however, when we set our app to public access, that we can require registration to those who utilize the app. So I'm just going to click that into existence here, and we can talk a little bit more about that later on. One other really cool way to share your app is by QR code here. So if we click the download QR code button, we'll get not only the QR code image, but the embed code. So we could embed the QR code to be accessed in digital media. We can always add this image anywhere we'd like our users to be able to access the app. We can just download it here and copy the code directly from there. Alternatively, if we'd simply just like to embed the app itself externally, we can click into the Embed tab and get and adjust if we wish. So you can see here that we can adjust the height and width of the iframe embed code, which is a responsive and dynamic code that works with most style sheets. So we do also have a plugin for WordPress sites, but let's take a quick peek at our embed preview. So you can see here that this is within the confines of that small and iframe embed code that we had there. So if we do want to go ahead and adjust it, we can there. And this is where we would adjust it again there. Okay, so we've seen what our app might look like when it's embedded, but what about what it would look like on other devices? And now we can spend more time within the preview app and we can see what it would look like to mobile users especially. On our phone, you can see that since I've already filled out the checklist, the progress bar up here that we've toggled on is letting me know that I have one more step to go through too. So from here, I could click the go to next step, which will take me there, or just simply click on the other required form here. So just say fill out form. You'll notice that the display is dynamic and already mobile responsive. And this is further displayed if we click into tablet mode. And then finally, here is what it would look like in desktop mode for computers. You can see that we still have the progress bar and everything there. Please keep in mind also that these views, they may differ depending on device and screen size. Okay, so it's hard to believe that this was just an introductory session to our app builder. As I typically say, again, if you're familiar with these lunch and learns, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So today we chatted about how to create your app, whether you utilize your app as a mobile storefront, a portal for employees, or both. We talked about the different elements that you can add to your app, customizing your app within the app designer to ensure brand specificities, setting up your app settings for user ease, and then also how we can put our now beautiful app out into the world. So I know that we probably have quite a few questions after all of this information. So I am going to head over into our Q&A chat. But one thing that I wanted to mention, which actually might answer some questions, is that Jotform Apps is different than the Jotform Enterprise white labeled app. So if you want more information about the Jotform Enterprise white labeled app, which is a customized app within a Jotform Enterprise plan, you can check out these links here. And then, or you can contact your server business development manager there. Please go ahead. You can check out our blog, or we do also have on our enterprise landing page more information about the mobile white labeled app there. So if you are interested more in that, I just wanted to highlight that before we get into questions, because I know there's probably going to be a couple of questions, especially related to enterprise. But let's hop into the other questions there. Okay, so what's the difference between no code and low code? So there are a few key differences between no code and low code. No code is basically exactly as we saw within our demo today. You can create a dynamic responsive web app that can be utilized across multiple different mobile and desktop devices. Low code would include no code, or sorry, low coding, but it would be best suited for companies with a larger IT and development team that can really dedicate those resources to developing the app, deciding its purpose, setting it up, all of that. Whereas with no code, like our app builder, you don't need to have a dedicated developer to create it. You can drag, drop, click, and go, just kind of like we saw in our builder today. All right, we have another question here. Oh, we've got a few. Okay, perfect. Can we publish our app to the App and Google Play stores? So at this time, it's not possible to publish Jotform apps to these mobile stores. That's different with the Jotform Enterprise white labeled app. This is why we have that add to home screen modal that we saw easier there. So users can easily add the web app to their devices, and then they would just click to access it, or sorry, tap to access it, as they would with any other app on their device. Okay. Can I send a URL with fields to the form element of an app? I don't know if I'm completely understanding that question. You can certainly embed a URL using the paragraph field into your app. So you would just have into the form element of an app. Could you please reach out to us? I'm not sure if you're already a enterprise customer there, or so if you are, please go ahead and submit that to your BDM, or you know what, actually, we'll take that down. And if you could just send maybe your information there, we will get back in touch with you. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about there. I'd like a little bit more context. And I'm also very cognizant of time, as this was a lot of information today. Okay. So here's a question. I set up 2 apps, but when people try to use them, Jotform asks them to sign in. I have it set up with public access, allow users to access their submissions through the app. How can I set it up so they don't have to sign into Jotform? If you have registration, that little registration ticked, then it will ask them to register to access the app. So I would go back, just make sure that you don't have the require registration ticked. If you do, and it's still doing that, if you could please, if you're a Jotform standard user, please contact support. Same thing with our enterprise, please. Okay, you don't have require registration selected. All right, in that case, then I would suggest opening a ticket with our support team so we can dive into that a little bit more. Okay. Absolutely. So related to the Jotform native enterprise app, are there plans to allow basic branding to that app? Okay. So I think we could count how many times we say app today. So are you talking about the Jotform enterprise app, or are you talking about the Jotform apps that you would create within your enterprise server? We do have the app that you can download in the App Store, Google Play. That is the native enterprise app, which I think that you are referring to, and not to these customized apps. If there's a plan. Okay, let's see. Yes. All right. So for that one there, that is a great question. I will take a look into that and see what our plans are there. I do believe that because the enterprise app has been recently released, of course, we're always working on it, but let me check in with the app team and I will get back to you there, Margaret. All right. Well, we are getting really close to time here. If you do have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to your business development manager or to our awesome support team with Jotform Enterprise, or if you're thinking of becoming a Jotform Enterprise user, you can always reach out to us on jotform.com/enterprise. Just click that contact sales button there. If you're already a Jotform Enterprise user and you do have more questions, again, please reach out to your BDM, or you can always contact our awesome support team. One thing I also did want to mention too is that we do have a ton of access to or a ton of different videos, lunch and learns, webinars, all of that good stuff on our YouTube page. So I've put the URL there. I do see that we have a couple more questions coming in here that I could actually answer really quickly if that's okay. So can you use web apps within the native app? Yes, you should be able to there. You should be able to go in and create whatever you need to within the native app. Can I grant users access only to a specific form and not the entire server? Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. I'm assuming for the entire server, you don't want them to be an actual licensed user on your server. You only want them to edit specific forms. You can certainly do that with, say, Teams, or if you only want them to respond to certain forms, then you can set that within the form permissions there. What I would suggest, Adrian, is going to our YouTube page and watching the replay of the Teams lunch and learn that we did. It's a kind of a broad overview, but it should let you know everything that you need to know about granting users specific access to specific forms within a specific team and not your entire server. All right. So I'm going to end this for the 3rd time. Thank you again so much, everybody, for being here with me today. If you have any further questions, again, please reach out to our enterprise sales team or to our awesome customer support team. If you're already an enterprise user, I look so forward to seeing you next time, and have a lovely rest of your week. Until next time.